Hello Internet, I am the Hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1107, I've Been Looking for You. The art week for this chapter is, the artwork for this week's chapter is Beppo being kind of sad, looking kind of sad as he sees Law is taking a nap next to a leopard, and, Beppo's just sitting there like, well, Captain, I'm a polar bear, like, didn't have to go find a different furry creature. This upsets him greatly. But that's pretty much all we got right now. Still waiting on the next cover story. I do like these little artworks though too. So, the chapter itself begins with Dory and Broggy rampaging. Them and their crew. Dory tells Oimo and Kashi to go take the crew and sort of sweep around the island, just wipe out some ships as they go. We got pacifistas wiping out the ships in the other direction, or at least I assume the Giants and pacifistas are going to work together for the most part. But yeah, Dory and Broggy are here, and they are... the Marines are Navy, calling out to each other of why after 100 years have the legendary giant warrior pirates reemerged on the seas? They literally showed up out of the blue. This wasn't like, oh man, there's some giants, storms are brewing, the giants look like they're about to make a move. No, this was literally, surprise, we're back. It's been 100 years. I'm still not sure exactly what got them to quit their little bout, though. Cause was it Shanks showing up at Little Garden and talking to them? Was it potentially Oimo and Kashi convincing them to come back? Because I feel like just based on the culture of Elbaf we know of, Oimo and Kashi showing up and saying, hey, captains, it's been 100 years since you guys started this duel. Don't you think it's time to end? And Dory and Broggy just being like, that's literally blasphemy. Our god Elbaf would not appreciate us quitting the duel because it took too long. This is supposed to be to the death, and to the death it will be. So, I don't know. Luffy left Wano like a few days ago, so him with the white hair and the Nika-like appearance, that wouldn't be something that Dory and Broggy would have seen and sailed all the way back to Elbaf in that amount of time. So I kind of hope we get a little update on how that happened, but for now, the Giants are here, and I'm happy to see them. But you know who's even more happy to see them? Usopp. Usopp's looking through the binoculars, because obviously he's Sniper's keeping an eye on everything, and he sees, the pacifistas have turned on the Marines. That's awesome. Luffy is back, and he's, getting ready to fight against one of the five elders. That's pretty cool. Zoro's over there with Rob Lucci. They're still fighting. That's okay. And Dory and Broggy are here attacking the shore. That's Dory and Broggy are here! And Usopp's got tears in his eyes, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's Master Dory and Master Broggy. Like, why are they even here? And Chopper pops up, and he's like, look, Oimo and Kashi are here too, because Chopper's never met Dory and Broggy. He doesn't care about those guys. Even Nami is shocked, because, again, the rest of the Straw Hat crew, aside from Vegapunk briefly mentioning the warrior in white, no one in the crew knows who Nika is. The closest we have is Who's Who's conversation with Jinbei, and Who's Who never gave a physical description of Nika. In fact, Who's Who actually asks Jinbei about Nika, hoping that Jinbei will fill him in on some more information. So, I don't think even Robin knows what a Nika is. So as Nami and Usopp are watching the Giants rampage, Brook actually rings them up, and Nami goes, oh good, Brook, how you doing? And Brook's like, well, we're about to be passing by soon. Nami's, what do you mean passing by? As Lilith takes the phone from Brook and says, listen, this bonehead, literally, did not come up with a way to stop the boat, so here's what we're gonna do. And then it cuts away from that, because Oda's got to keep us in suspense on a lot of things at the same time. Meanwhile, Jinbei is currently floating around using the hover boots or whatever, and he's like, okay, seems like everything's fine. Boat's heading for Nami. Nami's good navigator. We got Chopper and Usopp over there. They'll handle the boat. We got Luffy fighting. That's fine. But now's not the time to be lollygagging with random opponents, Zoro. So I'm going to go help him. And we cut to, as Jinbei's heading that way, Zoro fighting Lucci. The shortness in breath can be heard on both of them, as Zoro's like, can we speed this up? Because I got things to do. And Lucci's looking at him like, that's only something you get to say if you're winning this fight. You see, I think you're kind of holding your crew back. I fought you guys before. I was there at Enies Lobby. I know your crew won't leave someone behind. So until you're dead weight to them. They can't leave this island because you're fighting me. And Zoro's like, you're implying this means you're the one in charge of this fight. Like, you're stalling me. I'm stalling you, as they're both in a pissing match over who's being the biggest staller here. Now, if you play the One Piece card game, you know for a fact that Rob Lucci of CP0 is definitely part of a stalling deck. A deck that takes a lot of time to play. I may be a little biased, though. I am a filthy yellow player right now. But I think people aren't giving Zoro enough credit here. Zoro is fighting Lucci. And yes, Lucci in terms of power is below Kizaru, below Saturn. Luffy's fighting Saturn. And it looks like we're going to have Sanji versus Kizaru, which a lot of people, I've heard some comments between chapters that, this seems a little wrong. Sanji shouldn't be fighting Kizaru. This should be like either a Luffy fight or a Zoro fight. But this is Arlong Park all over again. If you take a look at the Straw Hat crew and what they improved on and what they didn't improve on within the first arcs of One Piece, Zoro only got stronger like a couple times. Zoro learned how to cut steel when he fought against Mr. One. Zoro learned how to how to make a ranged attack when he was fighting Ohm. And then he learned his 9-sword Ashura when he was fighting against Kaku. But for the most part, Zoro and Luffy, especially Luffy, but mostly Zoro, never had reasons to improve. Because of this, Zoro and Luffy were as strong as they were near the end of the first half of One Piece to what they were at the start of One Piece. That's the whole reason we needed the 2 years of training, was Luffy realized all the training he did as a little kid till he was 17 wasn't enough. He needed actual professional training from Rayleigh. Same with Zoro under Mihawk. Zoro could have defeated Arlong. I will defend this argument. I think in a one-on-one fight, East Blue Zoro could have defeated Arlong. Except Zoro had a giant slash across his chest literally hours before meeting Arlong from Mihawk. Zoro was heavily nerfed, heavily injured. Hachi, I love Hachi, okay? We all love Hachan, but he was the second greatest swordsman on all of Fishman Island. Fishman Island isn't really known for its export of swordsmen. In fact, I'm pretty sure we only saw maybe a grand total of 3 swordsmen. Maybe Shirahoshi had a brother who used swords. I forget if Fukuroshi used a sword or not. But as far as swordsmen go, Hachi was not much compared to Zoro. Zoro was able to dodge his, whirlwind of swords and break through. If Zoro hadn't just had a life-threatening injury, I think Zoro could have beaten Arlong in Arlong Park. Even Arlong, when he was holding Zoro by the neck and he tore off the bandages and he just looks at it in horror and he's just like, oh man, this guy's almost dead. Are you okay? Do you need like a lemonade or something? Somebody get this man a lemonade. Zoro had to be nerfed in order for the fight to be fair, in order for Luffy to take command. I think that's what's happening here. In his fight against King, Zoro almost died. Zoro literally came face to face with the Grim Reaper, and for whatever reason, the Grim Reaper was like, do you need a lemonade? You look like you could use a lemonade here. And Zoro somehow survived. Chopper punched him back to health with some special drug, and I don't know, Zoro has a lifespan of 11 minutes left. Who knows? But Zoro is just beginning to recover from that. The week in Wano where the Straw Hat crew got to rest and relax and have a lot of fun, I mean, it's great. but a cracked rib, okay, I should say a cracked rib in real life, doesn't heal in a single week. At least maybe I don't think it does. If nothing, if nothing, I know for a fact ribs don't grow back. I learned that from playing TF2. But Team Fortress 2, for those who don't know what TF2 is. Zoro's ribs are shattered, his bones are broken, his body is bloody, there's cuts all over him. Zoro took so much damage in Wano. That can't be all gone by now. So I think Lucci, given how vastly different the crew is compared to the last time they fought Lucci, I think Lucci's a fair fight for Zoro right now, especially with Jinbei coming in to assist. I'm not trying to downplay how strong Lucci is or has become, but Zoro fought King. Zoro beat King. I don't think Lucci is as strong as King, and I think this is a perfectly reasonable occurrence to have Zoro fight someone who is still a major threat. Like, Lucci could still go kill Nami and Usopp and Chopper and debatably Robin, Frankie, and Brook. Maybe Brook, but I don't know. I'll debate Robin and Frankie on that one, but I'm not really much of a power scaler myself. Long story short, Zoro fighting Lucci seems perfectly fair right now, especially with Jinbei coming to pick him up from this little kitty cat daycare that he's running for Lucci. We then cut very briefly, for some reason, to Vice Admiral, it's Vice Admiral Red King, the man with a whole bunch of chins, and he is lamenting the fact that this has gone south. This is going very poorly. This is probably the worst Buster Call we have ever had, and considering every Buster Call ever has been a success, this says something. It is horrible that we have to fire on our own weapons. And yeah, I mean, if you don't know the history of Bartholomew Kuma, if you just know that he was a bad dude, he became a warlord of the sea, and now our most powerful weapon looks like him, you don't know anything else that's going on. To you, this is bad. The pirates did something, and they turned around the weapon that is supposed to replace the 7 warlords of the sea. And we don't have the 7 warlords of the sea anymore. We already betrayed them. That Mihawk and Buggy have formed a crew with Crocodile. That they're not coming back from that, because now they know you'll betray them at any time. Pirates don't typically take betrayal lightly. We then cut to the most important part of this chapter, where Luffy is up in the air, smiling and laughing. He looks down at Bonnie and he goes, "Hey, Bonnie, what you doing? Why are you crying? Why are you looking so sad?" And Bonnie's like, Cause I've been looking for you." And Luffy goes, "Oh, looking for me? Well, I'm right here. I've always been right here. I've been right next to you." And she goes, "No, but I didn't know you were Nika." And Luffy goes, "Nika? What's Nika? I'm a Luffy. I'm not Nika, I'm Luffy. We'll go find your friend Nika later." So, anyways, "I saw you throwing some really wimpy punches down there. What was that about?" And she goes, I was trying to do a big rubber punch like you do, and I don't know, it just didn't work. Maybe you could show me how to do it by hitting Saturn." And Luffy looks over at Saturn, and Saturn looks up at Luffy, and Luffy goes, "I can do that. Just watch carefully, Bonnie. You're going to throw your punch like this." And that's when Saturn hits Luffy with the psychic attack again, and it almost looks like an uppercut as Luffy's head kind of goes back. I would love to know more about the spider devil fruit thing. I'm going to guess we're not going to learn more about it until later, because the more we learn about Saturn's powers, the easier it will be to guess the powers of the others, because I assume all 5 of the elders are roughly equal in terms of actual power. Maybe not in terms of what their powers can do, but in terms of overall combative strength. Because it seems, at least to me, their powers are not so much about combat as it is about control. Especially for a spider, you know, it seems like locking down your opponents and then finishing them off one at a time is how he fights. It's how he does his battles. Anyways, Luffy takes the punch to the chin. He looks back down and he goes, "Oh, that didn't work. You see, you hurt my friends and now you're gonna get it." And he finally hits Saturn. We finally see Saturn take a real hit from Luffy as he hits him with the Gum Gum Dawn Gatling. sending him flying into a building, and Luffy lands on the ground laughing and bouncing, and Sanji's with him, and Bonnie's like, okay, this is good, you know, this is good, Dr. Vegapunk, we gotta get you up, and Vegapunk's laying there, and he goes, oh, it's no good, Bonnie. I'm in so much pain right now. I literally got spider stabbed. It may be the only way Saturn likes to attack, but gosh darn it, when it hits you. Granted, that attack has failed literally every other time he's done it, but I don't really move that much. Oh God, it hurts so much. I know if I move right now, I will die. And yeah, a giant hole in your chest, the fact that he's talking right now without the lungs necessary to talk with is already pretty impressive. As he sits there and laments that, Kizaru hits him with the, hey, you're gonna die if you move or don't move, so whatever, I'm just gonna pew! And as the laser's coming towards Bonnie and Vegapunk, Sanji kicks the laser beam. He kicks the laser beam with his leg over away. Even Frankie is like, that was a laser beam. And Kizaru, Borsalino of all people, is like, and Sanji goes, nothing beats the power of love. Kind of a brotherly, like big brother kind of love, because, you know, she's 12. But nothing stops the power of love. And Borsalino, he's just like, oh, well, so much for physics. I guess that doesn't work anymore. So Atlas scoops up Kuma, and Frankie scoops up little Bonnie, and they all start flying away, and Vegapunk has to stay behind. He either moves and dies, or he lays there and watches Luffy win. So, I mean, if I had to pick, I'd at least like to watch Nika one last time before I kick the bucket. And Borsalino sees them getting away, and he just goes, man, okay, well, you punched one of the 5 elders, Luffy, so I'm gonna... they get away, Vegapunk's dead. I mean, I guess technically Vegapunk is getting away right now, but they wanted the Vegapunk dead, so I guess I'll take what I can get, but I gotta bring you two in. I gotta take your heads. And Sanji goes, oh, better start writing an apology letter to your superiors, because, you know, you're just not gonna win. Luffy's already bouncing and giggling like this is over. I don't even see where Saturn landed. Speaking of where Saturn landed on the ground, hit his head against a building. He's just like, okay, Sun God's back. That punched like a sun god. And granted, we don't know if Nika's ever, or if Saturn has ever been punched by a sun god before. I mean, this might not be the first time the 5 elders fought Nika. I would like to think that the 5 elders are not immortal beings. I like the idea that Im is immortal and has been, like, guiding the 5 elders' specific lineage to, like, be the rulers of the world. I don't like the idea that they're all immortal together, unless the 5 of them are just aspects of Im, kind of like Vegapunk and his satellites. Ooh, that wouldn't be a bad theory. I mean, Vegapunk has satellites. His are through science, but who's to say Im's aren't through a devil fruit? Ooh, I usually don't get a theory in my head. Ooh, I might have to do something on that. Anyways, where was I? Right, Nika. So he's sitting there like, okay, I got punched by a Nika. I gotta do something about that. And a hand touches his thigh, his little spider thigh, and he looks down. And there's, of all people, Katarina Devon. That's right, everyone was theorizing she was going to be here with Lafitte, as the two of them are... That's not Lafitte. That's Van Alger. Man, that warp fruit really does get him around. Because he was at Winter Island. He was at Winter Island with Blackbeard. Before that, he was at Totland capturing Pudding. And now he's all the way here at Egghead. So... yeah, Van Alger gets around. I'm not really sure what the range on the warp fruit is. That's pretty spooky. But she's like, oh ho, what an interesting power you have. I wonder what kind of devil fruit you've got, Touch. Okay, well, we got what we came here for. That's great. You really made this easy, because we were like, oh man, the 5 elders are all the way up there on their big lofty perch. What are we going to do? Go to Mary Joie and touch them? That's not going to happen. What luck that you actually came down to Earth, and now I have touched you. So... anyone who's familiar with the clone fruit of Mr. 2 knows that he has to touch your face with his hand in order to then touch his face and turn into you. Katarina Devon has the power of a mythical dog fruit, the 9-tailed fox model, a QB, which has the ability to turn itself into anything. It's a big master of illusion. Pretty obvious that if it's a better version of that fruit, she could obviously touch any part of your body and turn into you. So one of Blackbeard's crew can now impersonate one of the 5 elders. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually hope that Saturn survives this battle now. I really do. I want him to get away from this, because if he gets back there, he can ask about all sorts of secrets and work as a liaison towards Blackbeard and his nefarious deeds. So that's terrifying. Anyways, so Saturn's looking down at the 2 of them, and let's see. Yes, he says, oh, Katarina Devon. I don't know about you, other guy. My name's Van Alger. I don't know about you, Van Alger, but you, I know. You're a prisoner of level 6 Impel Down. We erased your name from history because you're that evil, and then when you broke free of prison, we didn't tell people about you, so why am I shocked that you're out and doing stuff as you please, because we didn't send anyone to stop you? Anyways, why are you level 6 people following Blackbeard around? You're all captains or mass murderers or, you know, serial killers in your own right. Why are you following this guy? She, like, triumphantly, she pridefully just says, well, Teach is pretty special. And Saturn responds with, so is his bloodline. And she goes, oh, you knew about that? And he goes, yes, of course I did. Well, thanks for filling us in. Anybody else want to say something? You know, I have a lovely theory if you're interested. I think, now that we know more about Kuma, I think Blackbeard might be a Buccaneer. Because as Kuma showed up with the indomitable human spirit, or I guess in this case the indomitable Buccaneer spirit, to save his daughter, Vegapunk said, your body should not be moving. Like, I shut off the part of your brain that makes you go people, you know, be people and go burr. But the Buccaneers are pretty dang special. In fact, there was a time when you... And then Oda cut off that thought because, again, can't tell us anything, not until later. Oda loves his cut off sentences. I think Blackbeard might be a Buccaneer. And they might have enough of a specialty in their lineage, or just an indomitable spirit, that whatever happens upon eating a second devil fruit doesn't kill them. Maybe eating 3 does, maybe eating 4 does, maybe he does have the Cerberus fruit, maybe he does have multiple souls, but I'm sticking with the theory that I think Blackbeard might be Buccaneer. Plus, it's a little late in the game to add another missing lineage to Big Mom's family. You know, she already hit us with the, you know, oh, aside from giants and whatever you are, King, there's one other race missing from me. And I was like, oh my gosh, aside from giants, there's 2 more. And Big Mom was like, yeah. And then we learned King was Lunarian. And it was like, okay, so there's Lunarians and there's giants. What is this mysterious 3rd race that Big Mom is missing? And then we learned what Buccaneers were. And now we know. I think that's it. I think that's it for number of races missing. I think Blackbeard's Buccaneer. Anyways, Teach is special. Katarina is special. And Katarina follows Teach because Teach is special. Why are all you special people following Teach? What about Blackbeard? What about your crew makes you so special? What is your goal? To which Van Alger just calmly and confidently says, the world. Does that mean to turn the world upside down? Does that mean to rule the world? Does that mean to destroy the world? We don't know, but the goal is the world. Now, I guess Saturn didn't like that at all because you can't have the world, I rule the world. Spider Stomp, because that always works. And Van Alger warped away because Spider Stomp always works. Couldn't have hit him with the Psychic Blast, right? The Psychic Blast, the web power that holds people in place like you did with Sanji and Frankie and Vegapunk. No, 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 no. Good old Spider Stomp. Nothing beats Spider Stomp. So they get away, and he's just kind of like, Spider Stomp. It killed Vegapunk. Spider Stomp works. The other elders are going to make fun of me, but Spider Stomp killed someone, so I'm right. Meanwhile, Van Alger, you know, after he popped away, he lands with Katarina, and he's like, well, mission accomplished. Guess we can start heading home. He's walking, and she's looking around, and she just kind of goes, dude, we're still on Egghead. And she starts following him. I thought we were supposed to warp away. And he goes, hey, I'm still practicing this fruit. You know, we don't know when Katarina got her devil fruit, thanks to Blackbeard's actions. But we know Van Alger's was extremely recent. So, yeah, he's just like, listen, I'm still learning how this thing works. I warped as far as I could warp. What do you want from me? So, comes and goes. Maybe he has to focus. Maybe it requires a degree of hockey or remembering the spot you're trying to warp to. Whatever the reason, there is a hole in how this thing works. A hole that, when he inevitably fights Usopp will figure out. Because he's just that great. Finally, as the two of them are walking away, they hear, wait, please! Wait, it's me! I want to join you guys! They turn, and there's Caribou begging them to take him off this island because he has been a Blackbeard fanboy ever since the War of the Best. He saw Blackbeard on that TV and his entire crew of goons jumping a guy and murdering him on the spot. And he was just like, that's my hero. That's the guy. This is the OG. This is the best pirate ever. Please let me join Blackbeard's crew. I know so many things. I have literally been following Luffy and chronicling his adventures better than the newspaper itself. Please, just let me see where this goes. Let me talk to Blackbeard. I want to meet him in person. Who would have guessed Caribou was such a Blackbeard fanboy? I mean, we all knew every time he heard something, he was like, ooh, a certain someone would love to know about this. Ooh, a certain someone would love to know that. It turns out it was Blackbeard. So yeah, that's they're definitely going to take him with them because all info is useful. And even if he does betray them, I'm pretty sure he can't beat Van Alger and Katarina. I don't think so. I don't even think he could beat one of them, let alone them both, and he's without a crew. Inevitably, I could see him trying to betray Teach and dying instantly, but I think what's more likely to happen is he's just going to be a member of Teach's crew. Maybe a lower member, maybe he'll get into a one-on-one fight, or maybe he'll just get reunited with his brother and go live off on some other island together. Whatever the reason is, though, yeah, we got Katarina can turn into one of the 5 elders now, probably, given how her devil fruit works. We got Sanji's about to fight Borsalino, and Luffy's getting ready to fight Saturn still. The escape plan seems to be going pretty well. We got Giants blocking off one way. We got Pacifistas blocking off the other. So this Buster Call is just done. This Buster Call is over. Doll, Red King, the little old granny with the ride fruit. They're all just going to have to turn around and leave. Like, this is done. The Buster Call's over. We cut it. Cut it. Nico Robin has survived her 3rd Buster Call. It's time to cut the program. We need to find out how to make the Luster Call. And finally, Zoro and Lucci are kind of at a standstill that I'm hoping the scales will be tipped when Jinbei gets there. But let me know in your comments down below what you think is going to happen next. Because right now, it seems like everything's just sort of shaping up to be a fantastic escape. I like the idea that Chopper maybe heals Vegapunk. Because, while granted, Vegapunk knows a lot about biology and medical science because he did turn Kuma into a bioweapon, Chopper is a doctor. You know, the whole, like, jack of all trades, master of none is still better than a master of one. In this scenario, I think I would like to trust the Master of One. Chopper is a doctor, Vegapunk has a doctorate. And I'm hoping that leads to a difference here. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero Julios, Xing out.